Welcome back. Well, Third Mutual had their regular monthly meeting yesterday. I want to emphasize that because this is a month of meetings. And yesterday was their regular August monthly meeting that we showed to you live. It ran 3 hours and 31 minutes, and we have the president of that board, Mike Straziuso, and we have the second vice president.
First vice president.
Our first vice president, yes, of course.
Don't demote
Denny
her.
Welch, don't demote her. Yes, we don't want to change that.
I have one more month.
That's right.
So
That's right. Well, prior to that was the prior meeting, the day before, of course, was that special meeting of the corporate members that took place. And the essence of that meeting was talking about putting a question only, and or survey, whatever you want to call it, on the upcoming ballots regarding the GRF directors possibly being directly elected by all the members by district. And again, that meeting was about just putting that survey on the ballots. One of the things that was discussed there today, or that day, among other things, you had the corporations there, you had Mutual 50, you had Third, and you had United. And at the start of the meeting, someone brought up, well, no matter what the outcome is here, one mutual can't force another mutual to put this question on. This is, so, the meeting went on from there, and you wanted to comment on that.
Thank you. Yes. The term corporate members, I don't think is well understood throughout the community.
Right.
Okay. We have 12,736 manners in the community. Owners are eligible to vote. They are mutual members, 12,736. And they elect board members.
Right.
Third Mutual board members, 11 United, 11, 5 from the Towers, 27 representative of the 12,736. We have a representative form of, is the term democracy?
Yes.
Oh, no. And there's I call it a malcontent group who think they can change the culture of our community and have those GRF board members that are elected today by 27 corporate members to be elected by the 12,736. It's something about when it works, leave it alone, and it has worked that way for almost 50 years. What do you know? Third Mutual has a different approach, and the approach involves not direct elections. The approach, and we're committed to the approach, is to clean up the bylaws of GRF and so that they match the trust. Do we really want to tinker with the GRF bylaws and the trust and put it out to 12,736? I've heard numbers that range anywhere from 95% down to 90% don't pay attention to the governance of our community. Believe me, the 27 board members pay attention. They're involved. We spent 7 hours in meetings yesterday. We spent 3 hours in meetings on Monday on the subject of direct elections. I read this on Monday. I'm sorry, I read this yesterday. Getting my days confused. A petition was circulated in the village expressing interest in direct elections of GRF directors. They got 2,000 signatures. The signatures have not been verified. They're sitting in a box in a file cabinet. The idea of direct election has not been explained by the proponents nor how it would be implemented. The corporate members of GRF held a meeting on August 19th upon the request of United Laguna Woods Village to discuss whether or not to issue a question to village residents regarding the subject, in which the decision was not to recommend issuance of the question. The village corporations have been discussing the need for GRF trust amendments as discussed in the 2012 memorandum of the Paul Hastings law firm, and the village corporation formed a task force to study the issue. The direct election issue was derailed, the progression of the trust amendments process, and the task force has canceled its meetings, and no activity is presently ongoing on the amendments. The GRF trust amendments, as presented to the mutuals by the task force, approved in concept by Third Laguna Hills Mutual in its July board meeting. Third, in its July meeting, decided to table discussion of the issue until such time as the GRF trust amendments were completed. The concept deserves further examination once the GRF trust amendments process is completed. Let's not get the cart in front of the horse. If there's so many issues, the Paul Hastings Corporation is a national law firm that specializes in trusts. And the United Board brought forth this proposal, and they admit that they have not reviewed the Hastings report. So we've delayed any implementation of this, sending out a survey. And besides, the survey would need a thorough explanation of the implications, which we don't know.
Right.
How do you explain a future issue if the beef among the, I'll call it malcontents, the activists? I just found out this morning that they were holding placards out in front of the community center before our meeting on Monday. Were you aware of that?
I did hear that, yes.
Okay. They don't know what they don't know. Mm-hmm. We don't either. If the issue is to hold the corporate members more accountable for controlling GRF, so be it. Mm-hmm. That's all that needs to be said. Anyway, yesterday we had a marvelous Third Mutual Board meeting. It lasted too long. I apologize. Tried to keep control of it. But unfortunately, there was a need to invite our law enforcement, although Sheriff's Department arranged to have a speaker, and they were unable to provide one, so Gene Hart, head of our own security, pinch hit for the sheriff on cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. And we've had some severe incidents of, again, crazies, malcontents, just flooding the internet with criticisms that have been very distressing to some members of the boards.
Right, and you know, it's
And this
interesting.
is both boards. This isn't
Oh, yeah.
any one board.
You hear about
It's-
cyberbullying among teens all the
Right.
time. In fact, it was on the news this morning, some incident that went on. And people don't realize that it goes on for everyone.
Right.
And in this community, it certainly goes on as well, because as you have stated, online you can be anyone you want. You can make up an email address. You can go different avenues on Twitter or whatever it might be, and whatever you want to say. And as you can go ahead and say, however, as Gene Hart said yesterday, our head of security here, and he read off some national laws on this, you still have, while you have the freedom of speech, there still can be slander statements, and you can be held accountable for that. There's certain things that you still can't do. It equates to somebody inciting panic somewhere, like they say, you have a freedom of speech. You don't have the right to be in the middle of a crowd and yell fire or something like this.
Exactly.
And in a sense, he was saying this holds true just because if it's electronic media, if it's email or online social media, you don't have that right to go ahead and slander somebody.
Well,
But
you know,
it's also the most important point. It's a record forever.
Yes, it is.
Once you put it out there, and maybe you delete it, you think you're deleting it from your computer, but whoever you sent it to broadcasts it to multiple other people who broadcast it. It's out there forever. Be careful what you say, write, broadcast. It's ridiculous. You can't take it back. You can't apologize. You can't.
Right. That's very
the
true.
thing that I was surprised at, that okay, the person who's posting it and sending it, they're guilty, but also any of us who receive it and then we forward it on, we are as guilty. So we as people who are receiving, we have to make sure that we do not forward this on, because then we're in this loop as well, you know. So, and it's very dangerous, and is the ultimate extreme, which is on the news, unfortunately, too many times, is of the suicides
Right.
that are committed from children through the armed forces, through of course the seniors, and that's what we're so concerned about, is the hurting and the harm that it is doing, because this is going across. I mean, I know of 10 or 12 people who have been cyberbullied in our community, and they are reacting to it, and that is dangerous for all of us. So we
Right.
have to be really, really careful on that. So if we receive something, delete it. Don't send it on, because if you send it on, if I send it on to you, and then you send it on to Mike, all three of us are involved in cyberbullying,
Right. Exactly.
and we don't want that.
And also, in addition to that, Marsha Wilson came in and spoke as well.
Right, and she did a marvelous job on being on this civility, you know, and just to take care and not to do harm, and to check ourselves on what our motives are for doing things. Do you want to crush someone, or do you want to help someone?
Right.
This is the queen of organizing, and it was Denny who invited Marsha and invited Gene Hart. She is so proactive. She's going to be a tremendous loss to our board. She is not rerunning. She has 1 month more on the board. And
and then you're done.
No, she moves on to
Other things.
the other 2,000 interests
Yeah.
that she has.
And I think the one thing that Marcia got across is not being rude, and to listen to people, to really listen to them, and not listen to them of thinking of what I'm going to say in retaliation, but listen to what they say.
Right.
And to listen with respect. That the and one of her last things, I was taking notes on this and I couldn't read my own writing, but one thing she's saying, he says, always remember how other people's words have affected you.
Right, exactly.
You know, you might not remember what they said exactly, but did they make you feel good or did they make you feel bad?
Right.
And that's really what we end up with. So we try to make things that make us feel good.
We passed 4 resolutions yesterday,
Oh, you
and
sure
I,
Yes, I was going to go on.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I believe they were all under your committee, correct?
Yeah.
no,
Oh, there was the one at the top here.
Yes.
Yes. The let's see here if I go back, and
yes,
one-
starting there.
Yeah, this first one, a revised alteration standard, and this was discussed, and maybe you could explain this a little bit for people who didn't watch yesterday.
Before we explain it, it was referred to committee.
Right, it was yeah, it was referred back,
But
and
I've got a picture of that, and
okay.
that's what
And
I'd like.
What I
know
recall
that
what
we'll
it
see.
was is about the air conditioning and heat pump standards, really the chaseways that are on the outside of buildings. And someone pointed out yesterday, this is one of the examples here when you were discussing this, that the individual that was involved with this that requested something, and I believe it was Cy Wellickson that said yesterday, well, if he is in accordance to our current rule, then this was his opinion, he should not be subjected to a delay because of a possible change in that rule. And you went on from there for discussing. It was put back to committee.
Right, that is going back to standards. I've already talked with Wendy on this. We are getting the contractor in. What we're trying to do is, instead of having all these extra little things here, the chaseways,
Right.
is to put a hole in the wall and then put the chaseway inside the manor itself, so it will not show on the outside. And so that is what, unfortunately, Catherine and Cy were not there. What Catherine was at the standard meeting, so I was surprised on her, but in which she voted for it. But anyway, it is going back to standards, and it will be checked in too on that.
Okay.
So that is that one.
All right. Very good.
But we accomplished the next one. Was
Yes.
The next one was the patio balcony eyebrow covers, and that passed completely, and that is making the eyebrow, there aren't any eyebrows anymore, first of all, and we've been calling them eyebrows for years, but the maker of the eyebrow has gone out of business.
Okay.
So now they're flat instead of rounded, which is really too bad. But anyway,
You like the rounded style better.
right, because it was better for the person upstairs of looking down, and also as far as dirt and whatnot. But that has been
But the
passed.
operative word is standards. We
Right.
have for years had to apply and to get a permit. It had to go before the board. The board had to go out and tour the residents that are asking for changes.
Right.
And by putting it as a standard, you go to the permit desk, get a permit, it complies with one of the standards, and the board doesn't have to.
That was,
Right.
was one of my main things in coming on to M&C chair, is that every time we went out for variances, we looked at things, can this be made into a standard so that we do not have to put these people through this? And then,
Right.
then we would
Things
look
get
at it,
streamlined.
and we have been able to do a lot, and the standard people have been very great. So, the hot tubs,
Mike is very aware of our lights over there, knowing that we just got a tiny bit of time left. Very good. We're going to have them,
Yeah.
on camera next week.
good, okay.
All right. So you got just a
The hot tubs have been passed. There are all kinds of things that you have to do. So ask the compliance people.
okay.
Because that has always been a problem.
All right, very good. So again, the regular monthly meeting, this August meeting, we will replay at 1:30 on Thursday at 3:30. It was 3 hours and 31 minutes, so we're going to replay that at 1:30, as you can see there. And then the following Wednesday at 6 p.m. if you would like to take a look at that.
Okay, there's one more thing.
Real quick.
Okay, the traffic rules that were passed, and they will
Revised.
have been revised, and so that there are 22 pages of those for people to look at, and they will be coming to the board next month.
All right, very good. Well, thank you both for coming on. Good to see you. And again, you can watch those replays of those meetings. We'll be right back with more of This Day.